I just realized this has a fucking sticker on it. Hello everyone, my name is Stephanie and welcome back to my channel. So I know that I literally about 2 weeks ago uploaded a video with my entire physical TBR and there were in fact 120 books on it. I have a haul to share. There are 13 books in the stack, I believe. So first of all, I just want to say about half of these books are from Pango Books and the other half I did get from Barnes & Noble, but I used a gift card. So I definitely didn't spend a lot of money on this haul. It is also a comprehensive haul from the past 5 months at least. And while book hauls are great, I think it's also important to point out how capitalistic the book community can be, very understandably. I love collecting books, but I'm also going to take this opportunity to remind you to check out your local libraries. Okay, so let's get into my haul. So something funny that I want to point out is there are 13 books in this stack, and 7 of them are Rick Riordan books. So that's more than half. So let's go through these first. So the first few books that I have in my Rick Riordan pile is the Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard trilogy. This trilogy is basically just like Percy Jackson, except instead of New York, it takes place in Boston. Instead of Greek mythology, it's Norse mythology. And obviously, instead of Percy Jackson, it is Magnus Chase, who is actually, I believe, Annabeth's cousin. And these are some of the books I got off of Pango Books. I think I got them for like $6 each, and they're first editions, so I'd call that a steal. Next, which is probably the book that I am most excited about, is The Sun and the Star. I've been waiting for this for so long, okay? And I got this at the event in New York City, and it is a signed copy. Oh, Nico has to be my favorite character, potentially in the entire Riordan verse. And him and Will, I am just so excited to read this. I do have to finish Trials of Apollo first, which I'm on the 3rd book right now. I just cannot wait to read this and experience this. And can we just acknowledge how beautiful this is? Also, if you haven't seen the dedication page, it just quite literally brought me to tears as a person who is queer and basically grew up with Percy. I mean, I've been reading these books since I was 10, about. So that's like 15 years. I mean, that is quite crazy. I can't wait to read this. Next up, I have Camp Half-Blood Confidential, which is just this kind of like cute and fun little, it's not even a novella, it's just like all these little stories, and it's almost as if like the characters themselves wrote them. This is also one of the ones I got off of Pango Books, and I got this because well, first of all, eventually I just want to have all of Rick Riordan's books and all of these like Percy Jackson universe books, and I was going to wait to get this one because it just like wasn't that important. It's not part of the main story. However, with the Disney Plus show that's going to come out, they're going to re-release this with like the permanent sticker on it. And this was kind of sitting in my Pango Books liked. And I was like, you know what? Let me buy this before people start selling like these original copies and like marking up the prices because they don't have the sticker on them. I don't even know if that's gonna happen. It was only like $3 this person was selling it for, so I was like, let me just grab it. And they also had Demigods and Magicians, which is 3 crossover stories with Percy and Annabeth and Sadie and Carter from the Kane Chronicles, which I read the Kane Chronicles a couple months ago. Absolutely loved those books. So I was like, really wanted to get my hands on this. I was like, but the same seller had this also for like $3. So I was like, fuck it, let's get it. It also has the deckled edges, which I love it so much. I'm probably gonna remove these stickers. I'm always so scared to ruin the books. They just need to stop putting stickers on books. Also from the same seller on Pango Books, they had Percy Jackson's Greek Gods, and this is just like a retelling of some of the Greek gods stories, but like Percy is narrating them. This is another one that I was like, I don't really feel like I need it right away, but the seller had it for only a couple dollars. So I was like, let me just get it. Although I found out that these also are in a hardcover, and I'd rather get the hardcover editions. So I'll keep this one for now, and when I get the hardcover, I'll probably switch it out. But it does have these like really beautiful illustrations in them. I love Percy so much. Okay, so that's all the books in my Rick Riordan pile. So now we can finally get to the books that are not written by Rick Riordan, which is just really funny that I have to separate them anyway. So 3 of these are books that are favorites and I really loved when I read them, but didn't have the physical copies of, so I wanted to get those physical copies because I love them so much. And the other 3 are books that I have been absolutely dying to read and add to my collection, so they were books that were basically going to end up in my bookshelves anyway, so I figured why not buy them. So these are all the books from Barnes & Noble, and normally I don't buy stacks of books like this, and as you all know, my TBR is currently 120 books long, so like I'm on a book buying ban, right? However, these are all books that I've been, like I've said, waiting to get onto my shelves, and also I had gift cards, so after I used them all, I spent like $2, so like that's a win in my book, right? So first I'm going to start with books that I have already read and loved and needed the physical copies of. So the first book that I have here is Identical by Ellen Hopkins. I like, if you know, you know, Ellen Hopkins was the like original angsty teen writer. This is unfortunately the only book I've ever read from her, but I read this in, I believe it was 10th grade. My English teacher had it on her shelf. I was like, oh my god, can I borrow this? When I tell you I have not stopped thinking about this since I finished it, and that was in 10th grade, which is probably like 2014, like 9 years ago. I've been thinking about this book for 9 years, and I was like, I need it on my shelf. And the thing about Ellen Hopkins books is they're not like full pages. They're written kind of like this, in this like stylistic manner, and at the time I had like never seen anything like that before. I just absolutely love this, and I would like to reread it to see if it holds up. So this book is about twins. Their names are Kaylee and Rianne, and it takes the POV of both of them, and it's about kind of like, what secrets do they have? They need to protect each other from things. That's all. I feel like that's all I should say, because I think you just need to go into this just kind of, you just gotta like experience it by yourself. But I'm so excited to finally have this. The next book that I have is The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky, and so I feel like the first time I read this was at a point where like I really needed to read it, and it has stuck with me since. I even reread it last year and listened to the audiobook, and it just like, it hit just as well. So I was like, I really need the physical copy of it. So if you don't know what this book is about, it is about Charlie, who is writing letters to someone. We don't know who it is. It is just addressed to friends, just his dear friend. And it is basically just like him chronicling his life to this friend, but it also has this like deeper meaning, and maybe it's also about the things that he is potentially running away from. It also is like very unreliable narrator because it's from his point of view, and obviously he's going to leave things out in these letters, and this is just one of the best books I have ever read. Also, one of the only adaptations I like in comparison to the book. The movie, so good. And Logan Lerman, I mean, that's all you had to tell me. So the next book that I have in my pile of favorites is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. Let me tell you, this literally changed the trajectory of my life. I have never been like so enamored with the ending of a book before, and I'm not going to tell you much about this because you have to go in it not knowing really what it's about, but basically it is this girl going on a road trip to meet her boyfriend's parents, and she's thinking about breaking up with him. That's all I'm going to tell you. That's all you need to know. I feel like these like horror psychological books where it's just kind of like something's wrong and you don't know what. This is for you. I'm going to recommend this to anybody. This was my favorite book of 2022, and it is easily one of my top 10 books, like, ever. Please read it. Read it. Read it. So next, let's get into the books that are new and I have been dying to read. First, we have Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. This book is about an English teacher, I believe, who basically falls in love with this 12-year-old girl. Like, he is a pedophile. And it's about how he tries to get, like, closer to her and tries to, like, actually develop a relationship with her. This is a book that is basically supposed to make you uncomfortable. You're supposed to hate the main character. Obviously, he's a pedophile, but I know this book is so prominently referenced in, like, our culture nowadays, and it's just, like, a modern classic. So I have just like really been dying to read it and really like dive into it and see like just how fucked up it is. I know a lot of people don't like the idea of this book, but I think it's also important that we read books that make us uncomfortable because they make us uncomfortable for a reason. And if you're not uncomfortable reading this, you're fucked up. I don't like you. Stay away from me. The next book that I have is Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut. So this book is basically an anti-war book and also a science fiction book and also semi-autobiographical. So it's about the main character who gets captured and becomes a prisoner of war, which is actually the autobiographical part that Kurt Vonnegut had experienced. So it's about that, but also he has to like travel through time to like fix things, I believe. I actually don't know much about this because I want to go into it semi-blind because I feel like I will enjoy the experience more. But this is another modern classic, and apparently it's named like one of the 100 best books of all time, so obviously I have to read it. And last but certainly not least, we have The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, which I also have this like absolutely amazing edition of. I actually have the same edition with We've Always Lived in the Castle, and it has these beautiful deckled edges, and the artwork is just amazing, and it even like expands into the side flappies here. It's just so beautiful. I love these editions. If you don't know what this is about, first of all, you should also watch the Netflix adaptation. Loved it. This is about this family who basically arrives at Hill House, and these crazy things that are beyond their control or understanding start to happen, and they basically have to deal with what comes at them. I just know I'm going to love Shirley Jackson. I'm actually planning on doing like a reading Shirley Jackson for a week type of video because I have this, and also like I said, We've Always Lived in the Castle, and I also want to read some of her short stories. I am just so excited for this one. I don't have much to say because I just know I'm gonna love it. This is also another modern classic. That's really funny. All the new ones are modern classics, but I don't know. I'm just very excited. Guys, I love books. Okay. So here's the stack. One last time. We've got, how many were there? There are 13. We've got 13 new books here. I would love to be able to read these like within the year. I would really like to try to, like read my new books as I get them. But yeah, these aren't going to be like main books on my TBR. So I'm like technically not going to add them. Don't worry about it. So that's all I have for the video today. Thanks so much for hanging out with me and checking out my book haul. Let me know in the comments the most recent book you've hauled that you were like so excited to read. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to take care of yourselves today. Bye!